And when we do get here, just feel the weight in the feet. And just experience moving the weight towards the base of the toes, back towards the heel. Also bring a little more weight onto the inside edge, a little more weight to the outside edge. Just subtly shifting the weight through the feet. And then as we play really with moving this weight around, also get the experience of the leg muscles. So they have to work for us to move this weight. And we want to bring our attention into those sensations. We're trying not to really kind of grip the muscles. It's easy to do that, just kind of lock on a muscle. Want something subtler, where we're just energizing the leg muscles and continuing just to slip and slide the weight around through the soles of the feet. And then slowly stilling it down, and whatever the balance we end up with, just being aware of there's that weight pressing into the mat. And work the attention up the legs into the thigh muscles. At the front, we're lifting the kneecaps. Up at the top of the legs, inner legs, those muscles pull up and in, and that means they also kind of squeeze a bit towards each other. So inner adductors right at the top of the thighs, some energy there. And then if we think about what's going on with our hips, we're going to sink the tailbone a little bit. So dropping the tailbone, opening up the low back. And if we put a hand on the low belly and the other hand, just the back of the waist, maybe down a little bit lower. So we're on the top of the sacrum here. And this backhand, I'm just going to stroke downward from the waist down toward the tailbone. And I want to internally create a feeling of that area lengthening and dropping. So the back of the waist moving back. It's a small amount, very small amount. And then in the front body here, just lightly stroking up. Doesn't have to be in rhythm. But what I want here is just a gentle lifting the musculature here, low belly. So this backhand, I'm going to bring it forward. I'm going to keep that sinking down in the tailbone. I'm going to, by touching the abdominal wall, get these muscles to gently engage. And then just take the attention back to the soles of the feet. See where the weight has shifted to. Okay, and then we'll just bring the hands up here. I'm at the side of the ribs, literally at the sides. And when I inhale, I want to see if I can feel the ribs open to the hands. And again, it's a small movement, but it is a movement there. And when it exhales, again, I can feel the ribs coming closer as I breathe out. Those very muscles under the hands and down the sides, right? They're squeezing, pulling in. And just we'll get another breath when we're ready. There's a real widening here at the diaphragm as we breathe in. And we'll take our exhale, following the sides down with our fingers, and we'll get the fingertips down below the belly or below the navel. So when it's an inhale, we'll come right up the center with our fingertips, lifting the elbows above the shoulders, getting our breath all the way to our collarbones, holding the breath as we extend, and releasing the exhale as the arms come down. And then breathing in. We can make the exhale a little longer if we breathe out between the lips. As we are breathing out, experience the top of the shoulders, the neck, the back of the head, that they're moving back and upward. So we'll get one, maybe two more breaths here. And internally, we want to have the back body, a feeling inside of the spine lengthening up, that we're lifting neck, back of head, sinking at the hips, the tailbone. Here's our last one. And being aware of the weight through the soles of our feet. Okay, let's take the feet a little further apart from each other. So it's something like the width of my hand between the feet, somewhere around there. I'm just going to soften the knees. So hands are on the hips, but the knees soft. I'm going to do a circle from the hips. I'm going to let that circle move my knees and ankles. Changing my direction when I'm ready. And then I'm going to come into the middle. I'm going to pause here for a moment. Check my tailbone, dropping down rather than sticking back. And then using the hips, I'm going to draw a flat figure eight. So two lobes crossing into the center each time. And I really want to get the hips in motion. So it doesn't have to be a big motion, but internally, I want to feel that I'm moving my hips. And then when you're ready in center, switching direction for the motion. And when we're ready, we'll come back into our center and end off with just a small circle. And then the other direction, small circle. So 2 or 3 each direction, and then just come into the center line, straighten the legs for a moment, and then shift the weight out of the heels. We're going to put more weight at the ball of the foot, and we're just going to take that heel off the ground. Just hold there for a moment, and then press the heels down. And as the heels get more weight, the toes just naturally lift off. Put more weight at the base of the big toes. So you can keep the big toes in the air and then put the little toes down and just take a look at the feet. I know for myself, I'll have one foot or the other walk outward, turning away. And I want to try to keep them basically parallel. And then I'm going to switch by putting the big toes down, lifting the little toes. And just once or twice, we'll go back and forth. And then all those toes are going to come up at some point. Hold them up for a moment. Just see if you can experience spreading them away from each other. And I'm going to put all the toes down. And I'm going to dig them in the mat, left and right, left and right. Okay, and then just pause neutral. Okay, I'm going to walk my feet a little further apart. So think of the heels getting out past the shoulders. And I'm going to swing the heels out a bit more and bend my knees. I want to sink the tailbone. So I'm going to put a hand front and back. Just take the tailbone back and forth a couple of times. And I want to find the feeling of the tailbone dropping down. Low belly, in a sense, comes in and up a little bit. So it keeps the back of the waist long. I bend the knees as much as is comfortable. And put the hands at the hips again. I'm going to see the hips move side to side. So I'm going to feel that motion, and then I'm going to stop that motion, and I'm going to move the torso side to side rather than the hips. So hips staying pretty still. And I'm just moving the upper body, left, right. And then keep the motion going, but bring the hands to the bottom of the ribs. So we get to the side, there's a natural limit. We're not going to try to force beyond that. But when we get near the limit, what's interesting is where's the weight in the feet, and even the weight as best we can. It's going to shift, but to work with that weight. And that'll keep the legs working. And we'll connect the core to the feet. And then when we're ready, we're going to put the fingertips on the shoulder. And we kind of push out a little bit at that elbow when we get to the side. And then we feel we're stable in the core, the arms go wide, and we get a little more reach. There's kind of a pause. We get to one side, then the other. And then gently taking the arms a little more work for the arms. So feeling them a little wider and the fingertips pointing downward, just kind of waking up that wrist, that forearm. Okay, and then we're going to come into the center here. Tuck the tailbone, sink down a little bit, soften off in the wrist so the inhale can come up. The exhale is going to go wide, and we're going to go wide down and then just swing forward, more or less straight ahead. So again, look through the back body, back of the waist, back of the neck, back of the head. And then I'm pushing out through the palms here, and I just want a comfortable distance apart for the hands, the height of the hands. What I want to feel for myself is, oh, there's the place where I really move my shoulder blades. And now I feel them really travel forward. I want to find that place. I want to ground the feet. I'm going to keep my head straight, faced forward, but this right hand's going to pull back. It's going to turn and the fingertips point down. The elbow pushes back and up, and that left arm out in front, it pushes forward. And then they're both going to come out and change sides. So I'm looking for rotation that's caused by the shoulders and the ribs. From the head to the hips, the spine stays straight ahead. Back elbow, up and back, front arm, straight out. Okay, so when my right arm is forward, when that happens, pause there, and then bring the left arm out. And once again, now they're both forward. I'm going to check the scoop at the tailbone. I'm going to move the waist back, move that low spine backwards. And then when I inhale, I'm going to go wide again. And inhale now the rest of the way. Exhale wide all the way down. Okay, let's change the legs. I'm going to straighten the legs and pull the heels in at the same time. Walk the feet in a bit. And just gently shake the legs. Okay. So we're going to go right to this move where this is my right leg. I'm going to step the foot straight in front, to the side, in by the ankle, back behind. So initially the heel's off. To put the heel down, I bend the front knee a bit. And we should be able to find for ourselves a comfortable stance here. So then step that right foot in again. And for the left side, just tap forward, tap to the side, in by the ankle, back behind, heel comes down. So right goes forward, outward, inward, back, and down. And then when we're ready for the left, it's forward, side, in, back, and down. Okay, we're going to get to the right. We'll just see if we can hold here for a moment. We need a comfortable stance, right? We need that feeling of strength in the feet. And then I'm going to take my front hand. I'm just going to rest it on the front leg. Back arm's going to sweep back. I'll just point straight back behind. I'm going to look down the arm. Breathing in, I'm going to reach up. And here I'm going to change the arm. I'm going to bend the wrist. I'm going to rotate the arm. So when I rotate the arm, it's like I'm trying to point the fingertips outward off to the side there, the thumb behind. And then I'm just going to press up, just like I'm pushing up on the ceiling. And then I'm going to lean forward and just swing this arm forward. I'm going to let the arm come a bit lower, just above shoulder height, push outward, and then work with the neck. So tuck the chin, look down, lift the neck, and just a press here. That's long enough. And when we're ready to inhale, sweep up, take the arm back again, bring it down low, and then just step back up. So we're going to do the same thing with the left when we're ready. I'm going to tap the toes in front, out to the side, in by the ankle, back behind, and then I'm going to bend the front knee to put the back heel down. I'm just going to fine tune, so I'm powerful in my legs. So front hand just touches the front leg. Back arm, I'm going to swing it back, point back from the shoulder, and just look there for a moment. And when you inhale, bring the arm vertical. And here's where we work with the rotation in the arm. So bending the wrist, I'm going to keep turning that whole arm from the shoulder all the way into the shoulder blade. So I end up, if possible, with the fingertips away to the side, the thumb back behind, and then I'm going to push up. And then from there, I'm going to lean forward and carry that arm forward, let it come a little lower. And then I'm going to work with the placement of the head. Lift the neck, tuck the chin, and push. And I'm going to leave with an inhale by bringing the arm back up, back behind. It's going to swing down. And I'll just step up as that arm comes through. So let's try this once more on each side. So on the right, I'll step forward, off to the side, in, behind, and then I'll put my weight down. So left arm, sorry, back arm, back leg goes behind. Inhale comes up. Exhale, just swing it out. And then push out. And then keep that position of the arm, but now bring yourself vertical with the arm straight up. Okay, so here's where it's different on this side. I'm now going to lean towards the front leg. I've gone over to the front leg side. And then the inhale brings me up. Take the arm behind, look behind. Drop it down, swing it through. Step to neutral. So one more. It's the other side. Foot steps forward, left side, off to the side, in by the ankle, back behind, knee bends. So again, a quick moment to make the legs solid. Hand on the front leg, back arm points behind. And we're just going to kind of bring it up, vertical, rotate the arm, and then spend the time pushing out forward. And then inhale, bring it vertical. We're going to keep that arm here. And now I'm going to lean toward the front leg side. So the palm presses out. And then the inhale brings me up. Drop the arm back, follow with the eye. Bring it down. Sweep forward and step forward. Okay. Okay, we're going to run this one last time with, we're going to do this one last time. So anyway, here's the right side. It goes forward to the side, in by the ankle, back behind and down. Going to adjust so I'm powerful here. And then I'm going to stay turned forward. So I've got my right leg behind. I'm still looking forward rather than let myself turn to the side. So I'm going to sweep the arms up. I'm going to press the palms up. I'm going to rotate both arms. I'm going to push up for the ceiling, press on the feet. Now I want to tuck the tailbone. I want to be clear about working with tucking the tailbone as I push up. And then I'm going to release forward. So to do that, I'm going to take the arms apart, lower the arms drop below the shoulders. Now I can start to lean over. I want to see if I can guide myself over, being sensitive to sometimes we get dizzy if we get too low, but if it's okay, I want to see if I can touch my fingertips and put some weight in my hands. Now, actually, this can be a very good place for yoga blocks if you have them. If you have them and can use them, then definitely grab them, put the hands on the blocks. Okay, so we're in some version of this. So my hands, for me, they're pretty much in the line of the foot. And then this straight leg, the front leg is not straight. So front leg's bent. I'm going to gently move the hip forward and back a couple of times, see if I can play with getting that leg to straighten a little bit. So it's just a gentle rocking motion. Now, for some people, that knee won't straighten or it feels like a strain. And if that's the case, come up higher or come all the way back up. If that leg will straighten or come almost straight, then front leg, front hand goes onto the hips and then look up to the ceiling. Now, again, if the front leg needs to stay bent, do that. And if you need to get out of this position, do that. So what variation we can explore safely. And then to leave, I'm going to look down. I'm going to bring that front hand back down. And then I'm going to come up. Now, there's a number of ways to get up. If you can come up without support of the hands, on the inhale, take the arms pointing back behind. And that shifts the weight back and just pull up. Now we get up, our leg may be pretty straight. We need to step this back foot forward. So I'm going to bend the front knee and just kind of rock myself up. And just take a moment here. Make sure that was all successful. Feel the difference between the sides. And sincerely, we're going to just adapt as we need to so that we can explore here without strain. So the foot goes forward to the side, in by the ankle, back behind, knee comes down. So I'm staying faced forward. Here's my inhale up. So from the palms pushing up, the shoulders rotating, the shoulder blades, the back of the neck, tailbone's a little tucked, all the way down into the feet. So we just kind of bring it all alive and it all integrates. And then to go over, I'm going to start the arms lowering and they get low, right below the shoulders, almost the hands, almost hip height. And then I can curl over, melt over, and I will land my fingertips where I can. So one of the best places is in that same cross line as the foot is. And if I can be here, either with blocks or the hands on the floor, then on this front leg, I'm going to gently work on moving the hip forward and back. And that's going to straighten the knee or bend it. It's going to extend it or flex it. And then if I can come with the knee as straight as possible without straining a joint, we're looking for that. But if the knee's bent a bit, that is truly good too. If we have a place we can stay, the hand that goes with the front leg, I'm going to put that hand on my sacrum, back of the hip. I'm going to tuck the tailbone a little bit, flatten the back a little bit. And then I'm going to look over at the front leg side. I'm going to rotate and look up at the ceiling. And then I'm going to leave by turning the head, looking down. Let's bring the front hand down, let the knee release. So we release the front knee so we can put power into both feet. And then either walk the hands up the leg coming up or sweep the hands back and come up. Okay, now how to get out of here? I'm going to bend the front knee again. I'm going to take a bit of momentum there and swing the back leg up. Okay. So we're going to shift to a wider stance with our legs. So let's say this is wider than we've been before. And then see if you can just turn this left leg in the hip. And then just take the weight over. So I've moved the hip sockets. It's kind of, you think of this as like you've got a teapot, right? And I hinge at the hip and go to the side. I'm going to bring myself up. I'm going to turn that left in. I'm going to turn the right out. And then again, I'm going to hinge at my hip. So as I do this, there's a couple of things that I'm looking for internally. I want to organize in the pelvis. So one, the leg is truly turned in the hip socket. I can start the movement from the hip socket and keep my spine oriented with my hips. But as I go to the side, I have to look after this left knee. So it may be safer for me to bend it a little, right? And I have to know that from my body. And you know, if we want to play a bit, we can get to our depth and then we can bend the knee. And again, every time we do this, we're looking after our body. And if we had a hard physical day in the garden yesterday, then some of these moves aren't going to feel necessarily, the muscles aren't necessarily going to want to do them. Sometimes they really like them because they're refreshing. And other times we've got the muscles just too tired. They need a break. So in a sense, the most useful thing to take from all of this work is a sensitivity to the sensation and the feeling tone. Okay. So that's kind of warm up. We'll do one more standing pose here. We'll take it as a triangle. So I'm going to work with this front leg as straight as possible, always being willing to release the knee so that I feel powerful. More than anything, one of the best judges of how given in the moment a given pose is do I feel powerful here? So I may have that knee a little bent. I may not be doing it at all. I may just be standing for a moment. But if I can work here, then the hand runs down the straight leg. In a triangle, we're exploring the leg straight. And then this upper arm goes straight up. I press weight into both feet. And we just work with where we feel powerful, sincerely, over and over again, coming to where we feel powerful. And then that's what'll change over time, is the extension we get. So we're going to come up when we're ready to breathe ourselves up. And then we're going to switch the legs. Switch the legs, take a moment, experience the legs, the tailbone, the neck, and then at the hip, create that tip. We get over, we've kind of got maximum built-in tip. We get to that. We may need to release the knee, or in either case, we're going to take the hand low. At this place, the first thing is strengthen the feet, then placement of the spine, and then kind of the window dressing is this upper arm. And then what we can do here that's most productive is monitor the breath and create extension through the core as we have a breath or two. And then when we need an inhale, just drawing up, coming up safely. We get both legs turned in. I'm just going to walk the feet in a bit. Okay. So we'll come to the ground. We'll do a few more things on the mat today. So again, depending on the knees, right, they're going to just sit down safely, or if we can play a little bit, we can look at taking 1 or 2 squats. If it's safe for the knees to play a bit with squatting, one interesting thing as we go up and down is to really use a position that works the muscles. So here my knees don't have any strain, but because I'm not really sinking onto the joints, the muscles are having to do a lot more work. Okay, so if we're exploring this, let's say we're going to come low. And again, there's that place where I can kind of sink onto just the structure, the skeleton of my body, or I can stay out of that and really make the thigh muscles and the glutes, the core here works very hard if I can put the load into the muscles. At some point, probably going to start to feel it around the knees, and that's the tendons, and so we're out of there. Hands go down and hips go down. And then when we get here, we're just going to release the legs. We're going to go side to side. Very easy position for the legs. The knees especially here. Knees in life get trapped between ankles and hips. So we always need to look at developing the ankle, developing the hip to help the knee. So when we drop left, let's put a hand on the right hip, bring it up and turn it, and then turn ourselves around so we're looking all the way around behind. And then when we inhale, bring ourselves forward. We'll travel the legs to the other side, all the way over and around. And when we drop to the left and we've turned a bit, let's take this right arm now and just sweep it up and push out in the palm. Again, we'll keep the gaze downward so that we can move the neck back, lift up the head. And then an inhale, soften that upper arm, turn forward. As we turn, we'll drop the right arm down, let the knees travel right. So I'm going to start with the hand on the left hip, just so for myself, I can really feel, yes, I turn something in my hips, and then I'm going to sweep the arm out and up, and rotate the arm, going to press out. Not a long time here. I'm going to come back in neutral, bring the arm up. I'm going to pause in the center. I'm going to stretch out my legs. I'm just going to switch my camera. So got a better position so you can see what's going on. But initially, I'm going to get the legs straight. And then I'm just going to lightly bounce the knees. And then wave the legs a bit side to side. Just kind of rotating the feet in, the feet out, and moving at the hip. So the whole leg turns in and out. And then just get a comfortable distance. When we're ready, we're going to bring our hands forward. So feel the sit bones. There's the weight clearly on my sit bones. And then a little tucking, just enough at the tailbone that it feels it's moved a tiny bit. Gently turn the feet in, just a small amount. Again, it's just to work with these muscles high up at top of the thighs, get them engaged into the core. In breath, the arms just float up gently, any height. I'm going to go side to side. So when I breathe out, I'm going to sweep the right arm back, and left arm just heads over towards the right leg. Now I end up by looking at the knee, my chin a little tucked. When I inhale, I just float the arms back up, facing forward. Exhale, same thing on the other side. So the hands don't touch. I end up on my exhale looking at the knee. And when I inhale, I just float back into the center. Exhale, I go to the other side. And just working with our breath, just taking the time to squeeze out the exhale. So as we're breathing out, chin's a bit tucked, and see if we can experience breathing that belly back into the hips a bit, and it's moved in. And when we do come center as we're inhaling, see if we can really fill up to the collarbones, the shoulders lift up a little bit so there's room for the lungs to fill. So on an exhale, whichever side it is, finish the exhale and just reach out with that forward arm just a little further as you finish the exhale, and then just naturally float up when it's time for breath. Okay, at some point we're going to be at the right side. Now, when we get to the right side, we're going to put the hands down. So you get to the right side, the right hand touches down behind the hip, the left hand anywhere on the right leg. So if it's okay at the heel, we're still turning the right leg inward a little bit. Just be sensitive to where the weight's landing for that heel. So my left hand is anywhere on the right leg. So I'm going to put the shoulders to work. Left elbow bends, that's the arm out in front. Shoulder blade moves sideways. I'm pressing in the backhand, and I'm just melting myself over. So adjust the neck with the neck lifts and back of the head reaches outward as we melt down. Now, when we're ready to leave, do so with an inhale, lift the left arm and float up. As we get the weight in the center, the right arm comes up too. We'll just take a breath here. And then again, work with the back body. So that smallest engagement, the tailbone, back of the waist goes back. We create our length. And when we're ready with our exhale, we turn towards the other side, reaching the hand behind, opposite arm coming across and taking hold. Setting up the spine, breathing into the belly. And just melting ourselves over. So the internal adjustment lifts the neck, presses out through the back of the head, takes the breath into the belly. That front arm, the elbow goes outwards and moves the shoulder blade. And when we're ready, we're going to use an inhale to bring us up. So lead with that forward arm. As it comes up, we lift up. As we lift up, both arms are up and out. Again, we get a breath here. Shoulder blades get off, shoulders get off the lungs. So shoulder blades do lift up, back of the head, all the way to the tailbone. So we adjust internally. And then when we're breathing out, we're going towards that opposite side again. One arm reaching behind, the other reaching out. Back hand lands, front hand lands, chin's a little tucked. And we just keep enough energy so we can melt. Okay, we're going to release. So the front arm, it reaches forward, starts to lift. We draw up with the arm. We end up in the center, both arms above the shoulders where it's comfortable. We get the shoulders off of the lungs. We get that big inhale, lengthening through the core. When we're ready to breathe out, we rotate to the opposite side, reaching out, reaching back, lowering down, making contact, and just melting, melting, but enough energy so the core does work here, the belly going in. That front elbow moves the shoulder blade away from the spine. And we're going to leave as we inhale. So that front arm stretches out, leads up, core comes up, both arms up. And then we're going to sink the arms down. We're going to land the hands behind us. We're going to shift our weight back. We're going to draw the knees in and up a bit. Doesn't matter where the legs are in the sense of we want to be able to drop them side by side. We don't have to get them all the way. In this case, let's just keep the hips faced forward a bit. And we're just getting motion through the joints. Okay. Now let's explore crossing the ankles maybe. So any version that works for us. I mean, literally all versions are good. The idea isn't to get the knees down. In fact, we're going to use the legs a little bit, so they probably won't go very low, right? Because I've actually flexed my ankles, and you can feel how that puts work through the muscles of the legs, and the knees will naturally be up a bit. So whatever our body produces, the goal again is support from the legs rather than the legs rested down and not doing anything. So internally, I'm going to tuck my tailbone and lengthen my spine. And when I breathe out, I'm going to take the arms wide. When I breathe out, I'm going to bring the fingertips touching. So I keep the palms apart, but the fingertips touch. And then at some point, I'm going to breathe in again. I'm just going to float the fingertips up, and then I'm going to bring the hands above my head. I'm going to pause right here. So if I wanted to, I could touch the heel of the palm just on the top of my head, just to see that, yes, they're above my head. And then I'll lift off. And then I'm going to lift up the head towards the hands and take the neck back and up. And then slowly the arms lengthen. And I just want to slowly work with how the shoulders and shoulder blades need to move for the arms to go further and further up. And the first time or so we do this, the arms won't necessarily extend because a lot of things in the back have to adjust where they are. And there's a bit of a learning for the muscles. So I get quite long. And now what matters to me is, again, not straightening the arms, but lengthening the spine. And that sincerely is more important, especially working with the neck and creating lift at the neck. And then if you've got a comfortable spine, produce as much safe extension and reach as you can through the arms out to the fingertips. So another breath or two, chin's tucked, look with the eyes downward. The eyes move, not the face. And then we're going to leave by bending the elbows. So keeping the elbows, that feeling of back a little bit so the hands stay above the head. And then when I get close to the head, I'll shift the hands forward and they'll come down in front of me again. I'm going to release the arms. I'm going to switch the legs. So we flex the ankles. It's going to keep work energy in the legs. A little tuck to the tailbone. See if you can find it here, just a small movement. And the belly, especially the deep belly, into the spine. And then length through the core. And we need a breath. Let's inhale wide. And then when my exhale happens, I'm going to bring the fingertips together in front. And then right away, really, I can lift the elbows and the shoulders a little internally, move the neck back, and then bring the palms, the hands closer to my face so I can take them up in front of my face and then back a little bit so they're above my head. I can always just touch the top of the head just to position things. And then create lift in the shoulders. You can feel the shoulder blades pretty clearly here. And so one of the things we're doing here is freeing the whole shoulder girdle from the spine. And I'm reaching it up. And we get somewhere extended, and we feel we need to stop and work the inner body. So looking for those places where if I take my attention inside, I can tweak a change. So extension everywhere here. And then soften, elbows bending, softening, softening. Hands out in front. Let's bring the hands down. I'm just going to give my legs a little shake. I'm going to lean back, take the legs off the ground, gentle shake. And then let's land the legs. So I've got, if I reach forward, I'm going to make a fist. I'm going to take a hand. I'm just going to lean forward where it's natural, not trying to lean way up. I'm not trying to lean way out. I'm not trying to stay up. Just forward a little bit and just land the fist. And that's where I'm going to put my heels, one on each side. And then I'm going to sit back up. Now I want the same thing here. There's energy in the legs. The knees are apart, but I'm not trying to force them apart. I'm just trying to hold them there with flex in the ankle. I'm going to see if I can create some length through the core. So the back of the neck, back of the head lifting up. So there's definitely, we can feel energy in the low body. I'm going to have my hands initially straight forward. So I'm going to rotate the hands, get that rotation, push out enough that you can feel it to the shoulder blades. Take length through the arms and through the spine. And there we are. So I want to maybe move the arms, the hands just a little wider apart, just so there's that freedom of lift. And here, push down in the hips, press up in the palms, and press the arch towards the ground. So really looking for extension through the upper back, making it longer. And then we're going to soften the arms a bit to take them wider. I've got the arms wider, so I'm going to change my legs. I'm going to push the feet out more. So there's a much smaller angle at the knees. There's still an angle. It's a lot smaller. Arms about 45. I'm going to push them apart out through the palms, neck back. Again, at the legs, I'm going to gently see if I can move the arch towards the ground. And just another breath or two, looking for length. And then soften. Let the arms melt down. And then I'm going to help my legs just rotate up, stretch out. They get to bounce lightly. Okay, when we're ready, legs still. I'm going to bend up the right knee. So left leg straight, right leg bent. So this foot is flat. And this is just a comfortable position again, taking care of the knee and the hip. Doesn't have to be a particular place. And I'm going to start just by getting the arms holding the leg. And that gives me some support to work again with length in the spine. So I want to feel my tailbone. I don't want to be sitting on my tailbone, but I want an internal sense of it being tucked a little bit, the waist going back. So the knee that's bent, right knee, I'm going to rotate the right side back. So I'm going to just wrap the left arm onto the right leg. So this right hand is free. I'm going to touch the hand. So if possible, I'm just going to put the fingertips down. And then I'm going to rotate and look back. So I get whatever rotation I get. And then the place to look is inside and see if the belly can draw in, and you can feel sometimes the whole musculature reshape so the core can turn more to the right. And then release and turn forward. And then I'm just going to extend that right leg. I'm going to bounce the legs a little. I'm going to bring the left in. So initially, I'm just going to grab it with both arms, where I work a bit through the hips and the core. I want to see if I can have balanced weight on my sit bones, at least to start. And then when I'm ready to move, the opposite arm wraps around the bent leg. And that free arm, the fingertips touch behind. And then if I'm on my fingertips, the advantage that gives me, elbow bent, shoulder can move. And the shoulder now can rotate in the other direction. And then as I turn, I'm going to work in my belly, and I'm going to ease the belly in so I can get a rotation where I move the belly around to the side. Okay, and inhale, let's come forward. Bring the arms forward, stretch out the legs, give the legs a shake. Okay, and now from here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to swing my hips forward so I can get onto my back, come down onto the elbows, come down onto the back. And just let the weight of the spine rest here on the mat. And now when you breathe out, tuck the tailbone a little bit. Press the back of the waist, the top of the hips down, gently, but downward. When you need to inhale, soften the hips and lift the diaphragm up as you expand it on the inhale. And we're just going to flow back and forth. So when it is a breathing out, release the spine and then engage the hips to lower the low back a little further into the mat. And then when we exhale, that's our last time. When we get the exhalation, we've got the tailbone a little tucked there, and then use the hands to help the knees come inward, initially guiding them towards the armpits and just holding them in a comfortable place. So we want to take the weight off of the back, the weight of the legs in the hands, so the low back can release, and then big breath into the belly. And then on an exhale, bring the knees in a bit closer and lift the feet up just a bit higher there than the knees. Active at the ankles. And see if we can just have the legs hold themselves there. When we let go of the legs, take the arms straight up toward the ceiling. And then just check in the hips that the tailbone is off the mat. And then we're going to bend the wrists and rotate the arms. So we're turning the fingers outward and then toward the feet. We're going to push up through the palms. And then see if you can tuck the chin a bit, extend the back of the neck, the back of the head, pressing for the ceiling. And then lower the arms straight down near the ears, just off the ground, and push back through the palms. And move the shoulders. And here, when you breathe out, drop the breastbone down on the exhale. So you can keep it low on the inhale. And then from here, we're going to move the arms. They're going to go wide apart. They stay above shoulder height, but wide and press. We're going to move the arms again. They're going to stay low, but now they're going to come down alongside the hips. And then we're going to push away with the palms. We're going to keep the head down, but take a little weight off the head by tucking the chin just a little more. And then put the weight of the head fully onto the mat and bring the arms up almost to knee height, not quite, but almost, and push away. And then inhale the arms vertical, where we began, push straight up for the ceiling. And then soften the arms, take hold of the knees again, soften the ankles, separate the knees. And then with the hands on the knees, just lift the ankles, the feet higher than the knees. And we're going to get a handful of easy circles here. And then easy circles at the knee. So the foot drawing a circle around the knee. And then let's come neutral. Hands on top of the knee and use the hands to circle the knees. And then back in the center. So knees close for a moment, and then just let the right foot touch down and stretch the left leg up. So we've got our left leg pretty straight. I'm going to slide my hands up my left leg, hold where I can. So I want to get the arms straight and just let my arms hang on the leg. I'm going to press into my right foot. I'm going to push up through my left foot. And I'll let the hips lift a little bit here. So push on the right foot, push up in the left, maybe bring the hips a little higher. Not to the point where we get wobbly, right? There's just enough of a lift that we're in control of it. And then when we have that place, and it's an exhale, lift the head, the upper back, look at that left leg, and see if you can, with the arms, pull the left leg near you, and then with the leg, push the leg away. So the leg is trying to push up away, the arms are trying to pull it close, and we're carefully lifting toward it. And then I'm going to put my head all the way on the ground. And I'm going to bend that left knee and put that foot down. Let the hips release here. When we get the feet down, relax the back. And just let its weight sink. And then we're going to bring the right leg in, stretch it up, run the hands up the back of the right leg. Arms are long and shoulders released. So there's the weight of my arms just pulling on the leg. Now find the left foot, press down. Find the right foot, push up, lift the hips. Again, we just go as high as we have a stable, strong footing. I find that place, and when I breathe out, I lift the upper body. I'm looking at the leg, the arms pull the leg toward me. The leg pushes up and away. So it's a really dynamic connection. Pulling toward, pushing away, lifting up. And then I'm going to release, the head goes down first. And then the leg can release, and I'm going to return the leg. Now the left leg, this time stretch it out long on the ground. So press a little bit of weight on the right heel, the right foot, actually the whole right foot. Use that contact up the right leg into the hips and tuck the tailbone a little bit and get a flat feeling for the sacrum. Now feel the energy that you've applied in the low belly and the right leg. Energize the left leg. Keep the back of the waist in contact with the mat or as close as possible, and lift the leg, left leg up, and just bring it up so knees are at the same height roughly. And then lower it down slowly, feel the heel just make contact, and then bring it back up again. So when it goes down slowly, so we can just taste the heel make contact, and then we can lift it up again. And get one, maybe two more. Staying in touch with the back of the waist, sinking into the mat. And then the next time the heel touches down, put the weight of the leg on the ground and let the leg just naturally flop outward. So the foot's turned outward. Relax a bit of the weight on the right leg. Pay attention to the low back. Now bend the left knee out toward the side. So it's poking out to the side, and then keep bending the left knee out sideways, and that's going to drag the foot in closer. And then when you've naturally dragged the foot up as high as you can, bring the knee up toward the ceiling and the left foot flat. Now we've got both feet flat. Right leg, just stretch it out long. Left foot, add a little more weight. Tuck the tailbone. Press the sacrum down in the mat. Right leg, there's energy down to the heel. Now we're going to lift that right leg straight up and just the knees at the same height. And then we're lowering down slowly. The heel will make contact. We just want to feel the contact and then bring it right back up again. And a couple more. As we do this move, keep actively pressing the back of the waist toward the ground. And then the next time the heel touches down, just release the leg, let it flop outward. Now the right knee, bend it outward and use that to drag the right foot up and come as high as you can. And then just lift the knee back vertical, put the foot flat. And just pausing to experience the low back, still gently pressing its weight into the mat. So add a bit more weight to both feet, tuck the tailbone, and just float the hips off the ground. And just take the weight up around the shoulder blades. So lower shoulder blades, upper shoulder blades, just above the shoulder blades. and then activate the muscles. So take weight off of vertebra by lifting vertebra, but pressing those upper back muscles into the mat to help lift the hips. So I got to feel no weight on vertebra, and the musculature of the back has the weight, and the hips, they just need to be high enough that I put that weight just above the shoulder blades, just before the shoulders. And then tuck the tailbone, and then we're going to slowly lower the hips down as we're breathing out. So we can just take the weight down the back as we come down into the hips. And then when we get into the hips, release the hips, then the last thing really is the legs to release. Now we're going to do this one more time. So connect to both feet, equal weight through the feet, pressing down, just a little tip to the tailbone, lead from the tailbone, engage the thighs. Lift the hips and feel how the weight moves up the back. Keep coming up. You can feel the weight around the shoulder blades and get just above the shoulder blades. That's high enough. Activate the back muscles to get the vertebra off the ground. Lift the spine a little bit if we need to. We can lift the ribs a little bit here. And then gently bring the tailbone a little tucked. Check in with the thighs. A nice little internal move here is to push the knees outward, away from the shoulders. And it's just a small move, but it creates lots of length in the core. And then we're going to come down. So peel down the muscles of the back through the shoulder blades, bottom of the ribs, slowly through the kidneys, into the big back muscles, into the back of the waist, into the hips, soften the legs. And then we breathe out, we're going to grab the knees, draw the knees in, wrap the hands around the knees, hug the knees in, and when you're getting an exhale, curl up and think of scratching your nose on your knees. And really curl in. And then when you're ready to, we're going to melt back down. And then guide the feet back onto the mat. Let the knees fall outward. So right leg first, you can feel the outside edge of the right foot because we've dropped the knee outward. Now we're going to push through the foot and scrape that outside edge all the way down the mat so the leg is long. Let the left release a bit and then do the same thing. Scrape down the outside edge of the foot so the leg is long. And then fine tune where you've got the legs. Maybe them apart a little bit and dropped outward. Let's rest the fingertips down on the belly. And when we inhale, have the belly fill like a balloon and really feel it rise up under the fingers. And when you exhale, let it release and sink down. And just a breath or two. Okay, we're going to do one last adjustment before we release completely. Bring the legs close, push down into the heels, and now tuck the tailbone. Legs strong there. Add more energy to the legs. See if you can, using the legs and the core, suck the back of the waist down toward the mat. And then see if you can sink at the neck as you do this. And as you work here, sink the breastbone on an exhale away from the chin, downward toward the mat. And then from there, soften the legs. Let the legs release. And then release the chest and the arms. See where you've ended up and just experience it. Now, the hands can stay on the belly or they can drop away to the sides. And really take the attention into the spine, from the tailbone, all the spots that we can check with our attention. And see if we can let the spine release further. As we breathe, just feeling the natural movements we create through the ribs and the spine.